Jeremy from Unsleeved Media has gotten himself a lifetime ban from Wizards of the Coast. He can no longer play competitive Magic the Gathering. Why did this happen? So before we get into this video, I want to establish something. I've been seeing a lot of commentary about the situation coming from people who are not part of the Magic community, and I see why this interests them, because this also speaks to the whole matter of free speech and how companies get political sometimes, and I get that. There's definitely that side of the story, but I wanted to offer my perspective as somebody who is part of this community, who's invested a great deal of time and energy into this hobby. This is one of my binders. It's kind of heavy. As you can see, I've been collecting a lot of these cards. Listen to this. Yeah, I got a few decks here. These are some of my Magic the Gathering decks. There's a Rise of the Eldrazi deck that I played when the set was pre-released a few years ago. There's a few more here. Most of my good friends, in fact, my best friends are people I met through Magic the Gathering. And over the years, because of work and school and all these things, I haven't been able to play as actively as I would have hoped. But this is a game that is very near and dear to my heart. The community of Magic at large is something that I care a great deal about. So this is my perspective as somebody who loves the game, loves the community, and expects better from the community. So here's the deal. Jeremy from Unsleeved Media, he is what you would probably call an online troll. He's very, how should we say it, opinionated about people in the Magic community that he doesn't care for very much, and that is fine. We're never gonna get along with everybody, and some ribbing is fine. It's inevitable. But Jeremy always went a little bit too far in his specific targeting of some people in the community, namely the Professor and Wedge from the Mana Source, a channel that the Mana Source is the reason why I got back into Magic after several months of not even touching my cards. I love Wedge. I think he's an awesome guy. And he's gotten a lot of abuse from Jeremy and his fan base over the years, because it's not entirely clear to me why he hates the guy that much. Wedge is a nice guy, so is the Professor, so I don't know. And look, before you even get too excited about this, I'm not an SJW. I am not one of those people who think you should never say anything that's not nice about people. I've been accused of being a troll myself a lot of times. But here's the issue. When you go to a party and you're pissing off all of the other guests, it doesn't really matter what it is that you're doing. You're going to get kicked out eventually, because this is the point of contention about this whole deal. Jeremy and his fan base are arguing that what he did wasn't that serious, it wasn't that bad, he didn't say anything that mean to people, which is one, disingenuous, and two, irrelevant. If you go, see, this is the problem, the biggest problem I have with this whole situation. If you're at a place, like let's say a club, you're at some place where a lot of people are gathered, and you're walking up to people and you're putting your finger right to their face, but you're saying, well, I'm not touching you. I'm not actually touching you. This isn't that bad because I'm not actually touching you. You do that to enough people in that club, you're going to get kicked out eventually. So arguing that you weren't actually touching them is beside the point. You still pissed everybody off. And being a private entity, they have the right to kick you the fuck out. It's that simple. I was arguing with people on Twitter that were going back and forth about the technicalities of whether or not what he did was a bannable offense. It doesn't matter. It's like the touching analogy. It doesn't matter that you're not actually touching the person. You're pissing them off still. You pissed off enough people that the community had to take action against you. And to focus on the not touching thing is childish at best. It doesn't matter that you're not touching them. You're still pissing them off, and you know it. So the top-down view is somebody was being a dick. They argued they weren't being that big of a dick, the community disagreed, and the powers that be agreed with the community and kicked him out. It's pretty straightforward if it weren't for the fact that Wizards of the Coast also banned him from Magic the Gathering Online, their online service to play Magic. I guess it's very clear in the name. Look, my opinion is that Wizards actually did him a favor. Magic Online is the worst piece of software ever conceived. Just to give an example, I got into Magic Online back in, I want to say, 2011, maybe before that, and I bought like $50 worth of credits, like the currency they have, to buy booster packs to play drafts and stuff like that. After trying to use that app for about 3-4 days, I straight up gave it up. I didn't even bother actually selling my account and selling off what I bought. I just walked away from it. That's how bad a program it is. I literally walked away from my own money because it was just horrible. So Jeremy, straight up, they did you a favor, honestly. But for real, the guy had some money invested into this platform, into this ecosystem, and they basically took it away from him. So while I agree with the ban, I disagree that he should have been banned from Magic the Gathering Online, or at least they should have refunded him whatever money he had left. Now, Jeremy claims that he had inside information at Wizards of the Coast, and therefore he knew in advance that he was going to be banned, so he sold most of his assets, if not all of his assets, in the program. Still, whatever money he had left there, as a matter of principle, Wizards of the Coast should have refunded him that. So people are saying, is that legal for them to just shut down his account that he invested money into? They are very likely, I mean, it would be up to a judge to decide ultimately, but their terms of service actually covers bad behavior, essentially, whether it's in the program itself or in the community as a whole. So he could sue, but I'm not sure if you'd get anything out of it. Ultimately, this is where I stand on it. I'm not a politically correct kind of guy. Like I said, I myself have been called the troll many times. I've been an asshole to people on the internet. I'll flat out admit it. But the problem is that once you do that enough, that it gets noticed and the community as a whole decides that you're not welcome anymore, you arguing that you aren't actually touching them is irrelevant. You have to take a step back and realize that you behaved in a way that made people think you're obnoxious. So is it really a matter that you're right and everybody else is wrong? Listen, if I get kicked out of a community, which hasn't happened yet, but if I get kicked out of a community, I have enough self-criticism to stop for a second and think, how could I have avoided this? Maybe, was I too much of a dick, maybe? That's how I feel about the situation. As a Magic player, as a member of the Magic community, I've encountered my fair deal of asshole players, and I say, and I think I speak as the majority of the community, we don't need any more of that. I think we're good. We're good. So while I do care very much about free speech, you can't be a dick to a community for that long and not expect to be asked to leave eventually. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. It's that way no matter where you go, no matter if you're at a party, if you're at a club, if you're at work, at school, no matter where you are. You piss off enough people, it won't matter what it was that you were actually doing. The technicalities of the actual gestures you're engaging in will not be as important as the fact that the community doesn't want you there anymore. And you have to understand this. This is something, look, the only people that really have to put up with our shit is our parents. Everybody else will kick you to the curb if you're annoying them too much. And that's just the way it is, Jeremy. That's how the world works. But that's all the time I have today. I'm very curious about how you guys feel about this. I know there's some people that follow my work that are probably on Jeremy's side on this issue, and they'll say either that the people that were on the receiving end of these attacks, whatever you want to call them, maybe attacks is too strong a word for you, fine, I'll give you that. But the people who were, let's call it ribbing, okay? Let's split the difference. The people who are being ribbed by Jeremy, maybe you're gonna say they're thin-skinned, they need to have a thicker skin if you're on the internet, and I agree with that to an extent. But again, it's a matter of volume, right? You can piss off one person, you can piss off 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, but when you become known in the community for being an asshole, I cannot see a different outcome than this. I'm sorry, but that's everything for today. I'll see you guys next time. And I'll give you this, okay? I can identify with Jeremy to an extent, because I have here this. This is my mono blue control deck. So I got some counter spells, I got some standstills, treacheries, some more counter spells, remands, rewinds, boomerangs, some more remands. It's the kind of deck that makes people not want to play with me anymore. So I kind of understand what it's like to be hated in the Magic community.